بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم تنزيل الكتاب لا ريب فيه من رب العالمين أم يقولون افتراه بل هو الحق من ربك لتنذر قوما ما أتاهم من نذير من قبلك لعلهم يهتدون.
Viewers, welcome to Rise and Shine. Welcome back to Rise and Shine. That is, we caught up with one of our friends visiting Tobago once again, Mr. Shadid Mohammed. And Shadid spent a lot of time this weekend at the mosque, and he was educating the Islamic community on a lot of issues as it related to women. Now, Shadid is back on set with us today, and we're talking about Islam and women in society. Good morning to you, Shadid.
Good morning. How you doing?
Now, the last time you were on set with us, Shadid, I mean, in fact, you always enjoy coming on set to just educate the Tobago public on various topics as it relates to the Islamic or the Muslim community, and we always appreciate it. Now, this morning we're talking about the women and how women, Islamic women that is, are viewed in society. Now, as it relates to what is permissible and what is not for the Islamic woman, what are the sources of influence? Who or what determines what is permissible or acceptable for an Islamic woman?
Well, to begin, we go back to the primary sources of information in Islam, which is the Quran, the Holy Quran, and the prophetic practices of Prophet Muhammad. Then there are things that are taken into consideration, like the environment that the woman is raised in. As cultural habits and traditions do play a part in Islam, and it does help mold and shape and determine what is allowed and what is appropriate for a woman and what is not. However, it is not the primary source or the main source that we go to for information to determine what is appropriate and what is not. However, cultural practices and traditions do play a part in that. For example, a woman in America, something may be appropriate for her to do there, as opposed to a woman in Saudi Arabia or another Islamic, country or something like that. So those things are highly influential as it relates to what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. Then, of course, is the maturity level of the woman. In Islam, the older woman, as there's a verse in the Quran that says that the older women who are who are past the age of marriage or who don't have a desire to get married, the older woman, then it is no sin on her if she removes her garment. There's no sin, and this is only because of the maturity level and what is appropriate for a woman at that age. As opposed to a younger woman, 19, 20, 21 years old, this would never be permissible Islamically. And although the older woman who has no desire for marriage or anything like that, although it is allowed for her to remove the garment, however, it would be better for her to remain covered. It would be better for her to keep, her overgarment on.
Okay, and that pertains to the older woman, and that is so amazing.
Yeah.
So it's not just the Quran that you go based on, but the laws of that particular country as well.
Yes, the environment, that particular environment, the maturity level of the woman, and then of course of the husband. There are certain husbands that, for whatever reason may allow or tolerate a woman to do certain things that other men may not. And, and that depends on, based upon how close they are to the religion or how distant they are from the religion. There are some men that are very negligent and allow their women to come out the house in any fashion or any shape that they want to. And, they don't see, they give the woman the liberty to, come and go as she please. Although Islam, does put regulations on the woman and, her leaving the home unnecessarily and things like that, which is totally appropriate in any religion. I mean, it's just a matter of respect that a woman should just not just walk out of her home without communicating with her husband where she's going. I think it has nothing to do with him keeping tabs on her, just as well as you being a wife, you would want to know at any given moment where your husband is. I mean, it's just common courtesy. And that's all that Islam is extending to the man, is to have that common courtesy, that the woman should just not just get up and leave out the home like that without, you know, of course, if she's a mother, she's a wife, she has responsibilities. And I don't think that there's a religion that exists except that those rules and regulations do exist. However, those things are highlighted when we talk about Islam because the media propaganda and things like this that, you know, promote you know, what they call gender discrimination. All right, I'm gonna use that term because that's the term that's used in the media, gender discrimination. And Islam is accused of doing that or promoting that or propagating that, and that's not the truth. I'm pretty sure, as I was raised as a Christian, and I'm pretty sure just as well as any other Christian or God-fearing Christian or Jew or whatever religion, that a woman leaving out the home without, you know, consulting with her husband is seen as inappropriate, especially with the way that society is today and the things that the woman may be confronted with leaving the home like that. And, you know, it's just not.
And it's more for reasons of accountability.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
On the issue of women and marriage, who determines this? Does the young Muslim woman have the right to say, I would like to get married, or is she told, look, I am marrying you off to this gentleman? Who reserves that right?
Okay, here again, let's go back to the sources of information here. The way that it's supposed to be and the way that it is, one has nothing to do with the other. The way that it's supposed to be is that the Muslim woman has a right to choose who she wants to marry, especially if she's been married before. The woman who is a virgin, who has never been married before, she would more so seek the assistance of her father or her grandfather, whoever her guardian is, only due to the fact that as being a virgin, she has had no experience with men before. And the guardian is put in place to ensure that the woman, as the woman in Islam, has rights. She has certain rights that the man has to fulfill, like she has a right to be provided for, she has a right to be educated, she has a right that she be talked to with respect and dignity, and she be not dishonored and things like that. These rights are given, these are God-given rights that were given to her by the Quran and by the Sunnah practices of Prophet Muhammad. So the guardian is there to ensure that the male that is a potential spouse is to give her those rights, as opposed to a woman who has never had any experience with men. In most cases, you will find that she's gullible or vulnerable or things like that, and will probably be easily taken advantage of. So we'll put in a guardian over her to watch over her affairs and to make sure or to ensure that those rights are fulfilled is something that Islam gives the woman. That's the way that it's supposed to be. However, depending on the culture and the environment that people live in, you have some cultures that they have what are called forced marriages, wherein the woman has absolutely no say-so, or what they call prearranged or arranged marriages, where the woman has absolutely no say-so. And although those cultures have a relationship or a tie with the religion of Islam, however, that practice has absolutely nothing to do with Islam. However, because of the affiliation of that culture, be it Pakistani or Arab or, you know, African or whatever culture they come from that has an attachment to the religion of Al-Islam, people normally associate the practices with Islam, when in fact those practices are, you know, have nothing to do with Islam. They're cultural and traditional practices that are related to that culture and have nothing to do with the religion. But you have in some cultures where they are forced or arranged marriages, where both the male and the female have absolutely no say-so in who they marry. And the marriage is arranged, and sometimes it's with cousins because they want to keep the family ties or whatever, so they'll marry first cousins and things like this. And many of the scholars in Islam have prohibited, you know, from doing this, only because the woman, she should have some say-so in who she wants to marry.
Is divorce permissible?
In Islam, yes, divorce is permissible, contrary to Christianity, divorce. But divorce is permissible. However, it's an alternative. It is not something that the person should resort to immediately when there's some dispute or some marital discord between the spouses. It is used as a final, you know, alternative after you've exhausted all other measures. As in Islam, we have measures that have been put in place to maintain